welcome to another fresh episode of the Correct Point podcast. Joining me today as a co-presenter, talker, communicator, and all things South Africa is Mr. Pranay Rangra. He's back. He's smiling. I don't know why he's blushing. I've brushed my teeth. Maybe that's the reason. And I would like to begin a podcast on a note of apology
Hi
that it took
guys.
us 9 bringing you a new episode. Probably that's because I was undergoing a tummy tuck operation. Well, that's not true. But yeah, we had major issues to resolve on the back end of the website, and we are back here now. Welcome, Pranay. How are you today?
Very good, Dave. Thanks for having me again, and thanks for the whole thing of us reuniting to just give meaningful cricket content to everyone out there, man. Just I feel
Right.
humbled.
I'm glad. I'm glad to be speaking to you again, and you're back to where you belong. And so, for our viewers today, we are going to be discussing a couple of interesting subjects related to the ongoing T20 World Cup, an explosive event of sorts, the mother of all T20 battles. We are going to be talking today about how most of the teams have performed so far, most of the big so-called reckoning teams who are about to win the World Cup and who we still think can win the World Cup. But the second point is the specific focus is going to be on South Africa's chances of this lifting the World Cup, because wherever the color Proteas green goes, then I have the face on the other side of the screen, and I'm glad that there is. So it couldn't have happened that we wouldn't discuss South Africa, because guess what? This team is kicking butt in the T20 format from where I'm concerned. So without wasting any more time, Pranay, before we get on to the other teams and knowing your love for South Africa, my first question to you is: are South Africa going to lift this World Cup or not?
I think Dave, I can speak for the 60 million South Africans and the one South African who sits in India, saying that I think we have a chance this time to lift the T20 World Cup. I'm getting this inner intuition which tells me that this is our time. Our time is now, and impossible is just a word in our dictionary now. And it's just
Brilliant.
been further cemented with the way we conquered India, despite being on the wrong side in the first 10 overs. And then Miller and Markham just put their head to the game, and Miller conquered it there. So that was superb.
So
Anytime
if you
you sort of bridge the Indian should I say, the Indian giant to reach a level that gives you a whole lot of confidence in terms of understanding that you can conquer it this time. Because we've always recently been on the wrong side of the win-loss ratio when it comes to India. So that really cemented my confidence, and I'm sure the other 60 million supporters sitting in South Africa.
Right. No, well said, and I'm not even surprised to hear the answer. And I think you're right, absolutely, that there is, if there was ever a great chance, I think it's now. Having said that, and we are going to come to South Africa's in-depth content a bit later, as I promised our viewers at the beginning of the show. But could we, with your kind permission, delve into other teams as well? Speaking of which, whose teams' performances have perhaps taken you by a bit of surprise? And I'm not at all somebody who takes the senile pleasure of calling a minnow team a minnow, because who are we to call anybody a minnow? For instance, if Ireland were called a minnow, then I think they have proven that they aren't minnows anymore. If Zimbabwe were considered a minnow, they have really proven, am I right, Pranay, that they aren't minnows
Yeah,
anymore?
they're not. They're not.
But I first like to direct your attention to the
Mm.
so-called big teams. Which performances have taken you by surprise and which have been, as per usual, good?
Dave, if I can just spend a minute on minnows, the way you and me have also grown in size, I think we also can't be called minnows no longer.
That's true. Thanks for emphasizing on our physicality. That was really needed. But yes, please continue.
But Dave, if I talk about the bigger teams, I am mightily impressed with the way New Zealand is performing in Group A or Group 1, whatever you call that group. They've conquered Australia, they've conquered Sri Lanka, they've conquered one more team, and today they are in a rather England is in a do or die situation against New Zealand, and that's going to be a cracker of a game. So
Yeah.
I'm mightily impressed with the way New Zealand's been performing, and hats off to Kane Williamson for getting all these guys together. And Glenn Phillips with his mighty 100. And did you see the
That was a
way he was
fantastic
playing?
that
It
was a
was
fantastic
awesome. And did you see this running stance at the non-striker's end, almost like Usain Bolt? I
Yes,
mean, that
yes.
guy just gets a different emotion from people. I think he's just been phenomenal. And even resting a stalwart like we can't say
Martin
dropping a stalwart, we'll say resting a stalwart like Martin Kapil to play Finn Allen has also been something. That guy also,
Yeah,
the way he just bombarded through the Australian bowling in the first match was phenomenal. What do you
yeah.
think? I mean, who do you feel barring South Africa? I mean, even deep down in your heart, your heart beats for
I
South
think
Africa. But who else do you think is cementing their stance?
my my heart has stopped beating only because not because I have cardiac problems. Well, luckily, touch wood, not as of now. But my heart doesn't really beat for any team in particular, in the sense that I no longer have the diehard passion for supporting a particular team. I'm not even being politically correct, but since you asked, I'm just telling you the truth. Uh, but yes, I definitely think that uh, the best team should win it. And guess what? The best team, I think, is the one who plays collectively as one and who performs together as one. And where the unifying factor is concerned, then I think New Zealand and South Africa have a great chance. India, not so much. Who knows what may happen? Because Pranay, you'll agree that this is the T20 format. We just anybody can just go bonkers. Anybody who's expected to fire may just fall silent on a particular day. But I think India, I'm a bit surprised by India's performance, in the sense that very happy for Mr. Virat Kohli. Because he picked up his form at the right time, and it's very happy. I'm very happy for legions of his fans. Um, but at the same time, I'm just not able to understand why others who are so brilliantly talented in our team are not able to perform together as one mighty unit. I mean, if I was to just draw a leaf from Killer Miller, David Miller's book on that day, when so many people would have easily succumbed to pressure, that guy paced his innings. It was as if India's okay. Yes, we are missing Bumrah, and he's a great bowler, and there's no doubt about that, and blah blah blah. And you can go on about the cliches which everybody knows are true. Um, that guy was never under pressure. So I think teams like South Africa and New Zealand, if for anything, they have shown the mirror to India that despite being pushed endlessly by this rabble rousing that India is the greatest, India is the best, there is a bevy of talents which are going to come and perform just as good as you do. And yes, you have Kohli, and the man is brilliant with the bat. He is like in another league, right, with the innings that he played. But so what? We're not here to bow down to pressure, and I love that the factor which makes cricket a level playing field, right? Um,
Mm.
I would just want to ask you another question that, and I think it's a question whose time has come. Are New Zealand really the underdogs anymore? Is it time for us content creators, observers, lovers of cricket to just give ourselves a break and say that, no, yeah, it's not true. They are not underdogs. You can't just all the time just, capture them, cage them in this image. What do you think?
They've 2019 50 over World Cup finalists. Last year, T20 World Cup semi-finalists or finalists, if I'm not wrong, one of those. And just paving their way to reach the semi-finals this year. So do you think that that's an underdog team? I don't think so.
Winners of the World Test Championship.
Winners of the World Test Championship. So, I
The
mean,
black
do
sheep.
you think that?
I mean,
But
the black
Dave, having said that, I think the tag of underdogs is something that New Zealand is very comfortable with because when you don't expect them to go beyond the ordinary and when they actually punch above their weight, it's like a breath of fresh air. And they are actually very keen to live in that sort of a bubble wherein not much is expected from them, but they'll go and maybe just pull above their weight and delight people as they are. So
right.
that's something which is fantastic. I mean, I have oodles of respect for that team. And if I can just spend a minute
So,
on India, so Hardik Pandya and Virat Kohli played a phenomenal innings to get India over the line against Pakistan. But just a question that I'm posing to you and the viewers and the so-called experts who might end up seeing a podcast, I surely hope they do, is that does this really merit the media to keep hyping them 5 days after they've actually played that hell of a knock? Because I've seen build-ups to other matches which have nothing to do with India, and the broadcaster still pushing the whole thing of how these two played together and how they conquered a battle which no one expected them to conquer. Fine, you've done a good job, but the job ends there. 1 day of praise, that's enough. I mean, let's
Right.
focus on the next games at hand. I really want to get your point of view on that here.
Right, Pranay. Let me begin by telling you my point of view through a Facebook post which I posted precisely 8 hours back in time.
Hmm.
Since I've happily blocked you on Facebook and you have done the same, and this goes to show how kiddish we are. And this is just a joke, by the way. I think in the post you might find the answer to what you're looking for. So this is with regards to Riley Russo being sort of riled by an Indian publication for having made a duck and rather having made a few ducks of late. Now, before you react, allow me to read back the entire post. And this, in a sense, should tell you my answer to India's coverage and the build-ups which today's so-called publications who call themselves journalists say. So now here's the post. India has lost the contest versus South Africa. Let's accept defeat gracefully and come back stronger. There's no point in extracting value in a game already lost. Also, if we still fancy downing Riley Russo, I don't know if I'm pronouncing the surname right. Maybe
No,
a
no,
good
that's
point
perfect.
is to
Yeah.
recollect the century he just recently hit in this very World Cup. Besides the 48 ball 100 through which he smashed Indian bowlers to smithereens at the Holkar Stadium at our beloved Indore. But how many South African publications did you see rubbing salt on us Indians' wounds? How many South African publications did you find singling out an Indian and making a mockery of that person in a game which South Africa gracefully won and India were vanquished? Or downing a particular player from our side, magnifying his ducks or lack of runs when, for instance, KL Rahul warrants such treatment. So, my question to the content creators today is why can't reporting on our side in India or content creation be graceful instead of downing someone?
I completely
That's
agree
it,
with
Pranay.
you, Dave. I completely agree with whatever you just said because humility comes in accepting your defeat and actually gracefully acknowledging the other team has played better rather than trying to find loopholes and what went wrong for them versus just you were not good enough on that day.
See,
I,
yeah, the point is very simple, and I'm going to switch to Hindi for our other listeners also,
hmm,
who I'm glad don't have the complex of speaking in English because वो जरूरी भी नहीं है यार. मतलब इतना ज्यादा अभिमान क्या देगा आपको जीवन में? क्या आप पाकिस्तान को हरा करके ग्रेसफुली लास्ट ईयर आप हारे? आप उन्होंने आईना दिखाई दिया ना आपको लास्ट ईयर, हम अगर याद करें तो
hmm,
बहुत
hmm,
बुरी तरह हम हारे और आपने मौका मौका के एड्स चलाए. यू एंड मी डिड अ
hmm,
पॉडकास्ट ऑन दैट.
hmm, hmm,
You
later.
won, did not won because you as a team played well. Sorry, you won because
Hmm,
a majestic batsman called Virat Kohli played a blinder of an innings. Okay,
yeah.
on which I specifically said, and I had addressed some people who call me anti-Indian for loving the West Indies a bit too much. Come on, yeah. In the room in which I'm broadcasting this show has a poster of Mr. Subhash Chandra Bose. Do I have to glorify my love for the country by always saying that? So let's just go up, let's just be mature. And I actually said, Pranay, and I took the specific example of Tendulkar's shot on Akhtar over covers for six in the 2003 World Cup. And then I said,
Centurion.
Kohli's flick for six at a time when India needed is just as important. So, if anything,
Hmm.
you and me are actually just as India accepting as we are appreciating and loving of other countries. South Africa, in your case, West Indies to an extent, in my case. So, let's just, my only point is, Pranay, and I'm not trying to be irrationally exuberant here. Just calm the hell down. आप जीत गए तो आप खुश रहो. कोई इतना करने की बात नहीं, और अगर आप हार गए तो यार लेट्स कम बैक स्ट्रॉन्गर. अब साउथ अफ्रीका को नीचे दिखा के या राइली रूसो को आपने क्या उखाड़ लिया? मतलब दिस इज अ
देखो।
टीम which does not have AB, Faf,
हम्म,
Mokel, Stain anymore. They don't need them, not because they are not great people. They are timeless legends, man. But this band of talent is as talented as, I mean, they are very talented and they've shown you the mirror. You have lost the game. So please, can't we Indians just calm down? कितना मुश्किल है समझना कि we come also from a country of Rahul Dravid who stood for grace.
and he's
कितने
a
छोटे आप
coach.
हो जाए.
He's India's coach. So if there's
Yeah,
anything, any value that the Indian team should be imbibing, it's humility. And they, it doesn't make you smaller of a person if you take humility in defeat.
precisely, and well said, man. Well said.
It
I
doesn't
mean,
make
I'm
you
very
a
happy.
smaller person.
Yeah, and if it happens that, for example, hypothetically, South Africa lose this World Cup, let's say, you don't,
Yeah.
and I'm just saying it as a friend, you don't have to go bonkers about it, man. You can feel sad, please feel sad, but then it's fine. It's
Life
not the
moves
end of the
on,
world.
yeah. I mean, it's not that we go blaming someone else for our failures, right? I've been living with
Pranay,
the choker stack for the last 20 years, Dave. But it's not
somebody
like
like
I blame it's not like I
somebody
blame
like
another opposition that South Africa has been choking. I mean, it's on our own peril here. I mean, we don't perform on the grandest stage. So it's our defeat to accept. It's not like I can blame the other
क्या
team
जरूरत
saying that
क्या जरूरत थी.
we will perform.
अब आप सुनिए ये पॉइंट, क्या जरूरत थी बाबर आजम को ट्रोल करने की ट्विटर पे यार? What was the need? That team has lost. They are going home. Why do we Indians? Yeah, Pranay, if you become angry with me and you break the friendship with me, do I need to then come and physically assault you? I mean, come on, yeah. If you hit me
Mm.
on my hand, do I have to break your hand? Are we kids? Are we not mature? दुनिया की हमारा सारा ज्ञान तो व्हाट्सएप मॉर्निंग से कंज्यूम कर ही रहे होते हैं यार. सारे बड़े सयाने कह के गए हैं कि जस्ट ग्रो अप, जस्ट बी मैच्योर. कुछ विजडम इसमें अकल नहीं यूज कर सकते. इट्स नॉट अ वॉर जोन गाइस, फॉर एनीबॉडी लिसनिंग. क्रिकेट इज नॉट अ वॉर जोन. द गाइज हु आर एक्चुअली डिफेंडिंग इंडिया सिक्योरिटी, दे आर ऑन द वॉर जोन. These guys are
Yeah.
fantastic talents who are cricketers, and they are playing for themselves, for the country first, for themselves also, because they have to run the house, bhai. That's their talent. They have to run the house, and they're also playing for us fans. But let us
Mhm.
not impose our, you know, incredibly demanding feelings on them. They are human beings. To err is human. But
True.
guess what? To be faithful is also human.
Yeah.
To be kind and accepting is also human. This is not a podcast to revive India's Pakistan's fledgling relationship. We are just cricket fans, man. We respect every team
True.
which plays well. And now moving on, and the sentimental part done and the moral lecturing done, which wasn't actually moral lecturing but truth, because Pranay and me, we speak from the heart, and we call a spade a spade. Pranay, the West Indies knocked out two-time world champions and knocked out in two impressive matches. One victory, outstanding victory by Scotland, the other by Ireland. How happy were you for Scotland and Ireland?
They've honestly, more than being happy for Scotland and Ireland, I was pretty convinced that West Indies would make it to the Super 12. So there was a sense of dejection more than delight. And it's actually a sad state of affairs that West Indies is not in the Super 12. And somewhere I also felt very disheartened when I saw Namibia couldn't qualify because
Yeah.
they were brilliant in the last World Cup. And if you remember, we wrote a piece on David Visa also.
I was
So
just about to say, वो हक भी छीन ही लेता तुसी.
So that was also a little sad, but on the brighter side of things, I'm really impressed with Zimbabwe. And
Yeah.
going back to that Minos conversation, under Dave Houghton, I mean, people might perceive them as minnows and might get pleasantly surprised that Zimbabwe is performing so well. But it's about identifying and harnessing that talent and getting them as a group. And if they do, then the conversation of a bigger team versus a minnow really doesn't hold true, if you get what I mean.
No, absolutely, I
Because
do. And
also has abundance in talent there. Have you seen
here's
this
something.
guy play Wesley Mawadire? Have you seen his cover drives? That guy is
मैं एक
askew
तो
in the
मैं कह
sense
रहा
of
था उसका.
time. Sorry.
So I was saying that you said about minnows. So, and as people, we always stand for equal representation. That's the reason why we started Correct Point. That we are not here to salivate after a particular team or a particular player, because cricket should be about anybody and everybody who's doing well. यार आप कोशिश तो करो उसको cover करने की. So, don't you think that at least I am personally not surprised, but very sad for Sean Williams and the lack of reportage which his innings attracted. I mean, it warranted feature pieces to be written. And I'm not, again, viewers, I'm not trying to act like some cool daddy of cricket journalism. I'm not here. Everybody's learning. We learn every day. But after having spent a decade writing and putting my thoughts into paper about this gentleman's game, I'm just stunned that how the so-called big publications, they never came out with one article of 500 words appreciating Sean Williams. Is cricket just about the big teams, just about the so-called big daddies? Come on, yeah. We are in 21st century. This is an age of diversity plus inclusion. कोई दिन I'm sure advertising industry में या किसी और industry में नहीं बीतता होगा where we don't use this heavily overused term diversity plus inclusion. How are you staying true to it, man? That's my question to the
Not.
so-called editors,
We're
creators.
not. We're not. Just to give you a perspective, Dave, so when South Africa did beat India in one of the leading publications in our country, the very small sort of a snippet on the cover page saying that South Africa beat India versus if vice versa would have happened, you would have had the headline saying that India crushed South Africa once again in a big tournament. This is just an example to put things into perspective.
It's just,
And even on the sports side of it, I don't think there was a massive space or a massive coverage given to how South Africa played and how they beat India. And I'm not
I really,
saying, not even for a second, am I saying India played badly. I thought India was phenomenal with the way they started their bowling. Just that South Africa was calmer on the day and they just put things into better perspective than India did. That's about it. And I was telling a friend also that we should be gracious in our defeats when it comes down to India and praise South Africa a little more rather than just going like all bonkers on how badly India played or Russo could only score a duck when he scored a century. Look how good our bowling is. I mean, it's just very stupid. I just have two words to describe this, which I think I've told you earlier also, which is simply called as intellectually bankrupt. That's what most people are, and
well,
that's the way.
I for the longest time said the full form of IQ should be intelligence in question. इसलिए नहीं
So
कि
I've been
intelligence
hearing
की
that
यहाँ
since
IQ
20 years. Yeah,
दुनिया. I mean, I don't know, but
seriously.
this is just I'm not saying that this is a request. It's just what I actually feel. I'm asking the fans and I'm requesting the fans. There's a lot of responsibility which rests in the hands of us fans. You know, उन्होंने आपको पॉलिटिकल नैरेटिव में भड़का दिया. वो क्रिकेटर्स पाकिस्तान के, दे आर नॉट टेररिस्ट मैन. दे आर नॉट हियर टू असैसिनेट इंडियंस. दे आर नॉट हियर टू, they don't work for, they are not on ISI's payroll. They don't come here to kill, our favorite cricketers and family. They are here to contest in a game which they feel they can win, a game in which we feel we can win. So let's just view cricket as cricket. It's not a warrior's lair. It's not the ebb of an eternal soldier. Let's
Yeah,
not because we can't even imagine the plight and the challenges of what it. So let's not belittle our soldiers here. अब ये वही बात हो जाएगी कि जो AK-47 लगा रहा है उसके हाथ में हमने क्रिकेट बैट थमा दिया, वो उससे बैटिंग कर रहा है, ये क्या मतलब. So where are we? So as fans, let's just calm down and enjoy cricket. And
yeah,
well, yes, India and Pakistan have a political tension, and that's gonna continue the way things are. And I hope things on either side of the border become peaceful and calm and calmer, because I mean, you don't have to really kill people out there, and you don't have to think of people as being extension of their religions. It's a game of cricket. May the best team win. And drawing a leaf from your own book, which you said very wisely, my friend, 2 minutes back, that South Africa won because they kept their calm. Now you know why I
yeah.
like Kimi Raikkonen. I mean, it's free of cost to be the Iceman, yeah. It's free of cost to keep your cool, to not be over dramatic.
I think that day is not far when Kimi Raikkonen will also start liking music.
Okay, I hope. Okay. That's great. Wow, what a
But
boring thing to say.
okay,
But yeah,
let me ask you a very pertinent question that I keep like sort of rambling in my head. Is Bavuma the right guy to lead South Africa?
no, he's not.
And
He's
why
not.
do you say so?
I'm sorry, Pranay, but if for anything, his greatest contribution right now would be to step out of the playing 11. I'm not even trying to be insulting because nahi yaar, he's not the right guy. I don't know who's the other guy, but certainly he's not the right guy to lead South Africa. As a matter of fact, and again, I'm not starting a morcha to support the man who I consider the lion of South African cricket, but the injustice done towards a player of his stature, Faf du Plessis, the way he was ignored. Please let us be very clear that numbers don't lie. Probably JLo thinks that hips don't lie. Maybe they don't. But guess what? Statistics don't lie for sure. And where statistics of Faf du Plessis are concerned, and I'm not digressing, man, I'm attending to your question. His statistics definitely warranted a place in the South African lineup. अगर उनके और बवूमा के बीच में कुछ हुआ है, अगर अगर I don't know. We really need to know as fans that what the hell has Faf done? What crime against humanity did he do not to be picked for a team in the format in which his numbers are excellent? Wasn't he the man of the match or something in a
Mm,
decisive IPL final? I think it was 2021 season or something.
mm,
He's made runs in the CPL. He's played T10. He's played cricket in T20 format in Dubai, South Africa, India, wherever. He's been making runs. Not every innings has yielded or culminated into 50, but he's always made runs. His fitness is outstanding. He can still dive. He had the leadership experience. So why didn't you pick him? I don't know.
true.
But Bavuma, at least at this point in time, a fantastic person that he is, he's not the guy to lead South Africa. That's
So
all.
Dave, speaking about Francois du Plessis, I was reading a couple of articles in some South African publications, and this is what they had to say that he really pursued a comeback with Mark Boucher and the erstwhile cricket director of South Africa, Grant Smith, but they just kept him in the lurch. I don't know for whatever reasons. Those reasons weren't specified,
Do
but
you mean the
from
Mark
Pat's
Boucher, who
point
is
of view,
also now a confirmed racist?
let's not go
Let's face
there.
it.
I think that's too sensitive a topic, but the
For
kind
whom?
of
For you?
support that he the kind of support that he wanted from Mark Boucher and Grant Smith in terms of making a comeback,
They
at least
didn't
for
even
the
pick his
two
call.
T20 World Cups.
They
They
didn't
didn't
even
pick
pick his
his calls, they just kept him in the lurch, and the guy needs to make a living. Yeah. So he prioritized franchisee cricket over representing his country. And going on the Bavuma point, I completely agree with you because I mean Bavuma in his leadership is decent. I mean, I strongly believe that he's pretty decent in his leadership, but purely as a batter, he's not performing, and he's keeping a guy like Reza Hendricks on the sidelines who scored five 50s in his last six matches at a strike rate of about 147. So imagine if that guy were to start with Quinton de Kock, the kind of starts we would be getting
And Decock
versus
is playing so well.
4 of 10
He's playing
deliveries.
so well. Decock is playing so well.
De Kock has found his form, and let's just hope for the best. I wouldn't say that he's playing really well, but he's found his form. He is a bit eccentric, but I just hope that he fires at the right time.
I for one,
So,
I'm glad Eden Markram is playing as beautifully and calmly as he is, man. And
he
2021 World
is
Cup
great.
also fantastic knocks. Correct me if I'm wrong. It was the game against the West Indies only, where I think he was lifting some hefty sixes with the minor twitch of a muscle. And
Yeah.
I'm glad that he's playing well. And I think that game, यार, उसका बहुत बड़ा credit है. The way South Africa won.
We have a very decent middle order, Dave, to be honest with you. Riley Russo, Markram, Miller, and Tristan Stubbs. Stubbs has also been mighty impressive. Okay,
Right.
so now I want to put you in another spot. Who are your four semi-finalists for the World Cup then? Before we end the
Um,
podcast, and then
India,
I'll tell
India, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Australia.
you. Three teams can't qualify from one group, no, Dave.
Sorry, that just shows how aware I am of the group. So I don't know about four, yeah, but I think that the two teams which definitely can make it is I think India and Australia. South Africa and Australia, rather. South Africa and Australia. Sorry.
I would think India, South Africa, England, and New Zealand. That's
Well,
my picks.
India deserve to win. They do, because I think, let's just face facts. On paper, it's a very, very strong team, but somehow abhi tak they haven't been able to perform as a unit, and it would be spectacularly unfair if two people in a blazingly good lineup, including Rohit and Rahul, वो तो कुछ ज़्यादा कर नहीं पा रहे. If only two people have to just make runs for the entire team, Surya and Virat here, that would be spectacularly unfair. So I think it's about time that Rahul came back into form. I think some tough decisions have to be taken, which might then eventually help me answer your question why I think India can also still have an outside chance of making it. But I really think South Africa, though, I can't name four, but I can name two: South Africa and Australia, definitely. I hope India also,
So,
somehow, I don't know, कुछ हो जाए India के लिए भी यार.
so
This is
then
very, very good.
we've almost reached time. So a parting message from you to the viewers, and we should be doing this a lot more. Yeah.
Yeah, we should. A parting message is for the fanboys is to grow up, for the social media space to just live a day without trolling anyone, and just win and lose gracefully. Yeah, and it's just a game. May the best team win, and even if you support South Africa or I support whatever, it doesn't matter. The better team is going to win eventually. That could be South Africa, that could be anything. This is not aimed at you, this is aimed at anybody who has a favorite in particular. Make cricket succeed in actually staying true to its full potential, that it was always supposed to be a sport, not a political battlefield where you have to just be an extension of your religion, caste, color, community, and they just go into a minefield of just making a sport something else which it was never supposed to be. So this is my only parting message. Having said that, yes, we must make more episodes. In fact, I've already told you that we are going to make more episodes, and
Hmm.
I think we must have a next episode in another week's time on
Sure.
another interesting topic on the T20 World Cup.
Done. So, guys, I just want to keep this end the podcast with this thought that characters based on, or rather, characters built on grace and humility. And people who sort of understood this, I don't need to explain it further.
Well said,
So,
Pranay.
cheers from Pranay, cheers from
Yes,
Dave, and till we bring back another episode of Audit Point, we're signing off. Cheers, guys.
yes, and please do not take us wrong. Please don't. In fact, your choice, here. We had to say what we had to say. It's on you. Thank you, guys. Bye.